Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. We're here with Orest, and Orest is an awesome individual that I met through Winject Studios in the community here at Winject, and I thought it was fascinating that you talk about all kinds of different subjects, and we're going to get into a few today. But for those that don't know you, give us a little snapshot of who Orest is.
Well, excuse me. I used to be, for about 33 years, I used to be a periodontal regenerative surgeon. And that came to an end in June of 2018. And I've always had this thing about I like to talk. I'm a attention whore. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, I do. I love it. You know, I just want you. Okay, here, look at me. Here I am. And I decided I started to do some things. And one of them things is I have a blog called Old Guy Talks, and a podcast, Old Guy Talks to Me. And in that podcast, that's really kind of where I really get a lot of juice going from. I talk to experts about various things, and most of the time you'll find out that I have very, very few filters when I talk to people. And you can just look at some of the topics that I had a gynecologist, and we talked about vaginal deterioration and vaginal rejuvenation. We talked about the sexless marriage, anti-aging medicine, suicide, end of life conversations, porn addiction, just a whole bunch of things. And then spend a lot of time talking about cigars, scotch, and other fun things. And yes, we do talk about sex too. So that's kind of that's my gig. That's what I'm doing these days. And I'm also putting together a program that will help men get recalibrated, reorganized. One, by figuring out what they want, because most people ask them, "What do you want?" Oh, no, kind of like all of a sudden you got that deer in the headlights look. And two, help them create an action plan to get what they want. Because a lot of times men kind of get, kids, life, whatever, kind of gets you off the track of what you want to do, who you want to be in the world. And also a lot of times, I think sometimes people give up. That's the worst thing. I hate it when people give up on life.
Well, and I don't know that everybody understands or appreciates what it takes to really live. A lot of people think that, okay, I got to fit in this box, and then I got to fit in this box, and then I got to fit in this box. And if I fit in these boxes and follow the rules, everything's going to be okay. That's not always the case. You had a path, you had a mission, and I don't know what prompted you to be in the business you were in, the profession, the medical field. Did you wake up one day and say, I think I'm going to be a periodontal surgeon?
No, actually it came about because I was bartending, and
I went from a bartender to a surgeon.
Yeah, there was a few years in between there, lots of school. But I looked around, and I was in my mid-20s, and I looked around and I saw people in their mid-30s and 40s, and I said, I do not want to be doing this when I'm that age. And it was. I mean, I love bartending. Oh my God, it was some of the best times, the best parties. It was a great time. But it wasn't a particularly good time in terms of growing as a human being. It was a great party time, but it wasn't. I don't think there's not a lot of self-development that went on during those years.
Yeah. Well, and maybe like yourself, I was a musician, so I was on the other side of the bar. And bar life and restaurant life and fast food or whatever it happens to be is kind of it's the same day over and over. It's like Groundhog Day. And it's some parts are fun, and I had a great time, and being a musician was the only thing I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
However, after, years and years in a bar and not graduating, I actually fell, and it kind of disrupted that cycle. However, not everybody sits back like that and reflects on what they want to do or who they want to be in the future. So you made that decision, and you decided that that was the choice that you were going to make, and you spent 33 years in that profession, and you decided that now you're going to do something else, right?
Yeah. And that's it. And Russ, that's the operative word, decide.
Yeah.
So many times, men and women, but you call me a misogynist, I don't give a fuck. But so many times men don't decide.
Yeah.
They just kind of let the events take them. And I mean, there's a certain amount of you got things show up, opportunities, whatever, you got to be fluid. But at the end of the day, you need to make a decision about what you want, and then go after it.
Yeah.
And that gives you purpose every day. I mean, in the mornings, I just got finished. I have a routine that I go through, involves meditation, journaling, writing some notes to those that I love. And part of it is answering a question for myself: is what can I do today to be a better version of myself than I was yesterday?
Yeah.
That's kind of it's a question I ask myself, and then there's another question sometimes I'll ask myself: is what is the most important thing that I have to accomplish today?
Yeah.
And if I can do that one thing every day, I get a lot done. Done.
And it's very focused, and you decide that this is how I'm going to spend my time. This is what brings me joy today. And I have to really purposeful and meaningful intent, to put energy into that area. Otherwise, your day gets filled with other things that don't really matter.
Yeah. And that I'm not going to tell you like, oh, I'm this guy that gets it done every day. I don't. It doesn't happen that way.
Life happens.
Exactly. Yeah. Stuff happens, but most of the time I do. And you talked about important stuff. Like I always, it's Steve Covey. He's got the thing in 4 quadrants, and one axis is important, and not important, and the other axis is urgent and not urgent.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we're spending our time, especially with social media, and we have you and I have the excuse we're in social media because that's our job.
Yeah.
But we spend so much time on that, and you don't spend time on the important stuff. And the place that we really don't spend time on is the important and not urgent, which is setting things up for the future, maybe a few months or into the future. And I always look at that, moving things around in terms of what occupies your day into those important whether they're important, and maybe moving the ones that are not urgent more into an urgent, or at least taking some action on those.
Yeah. I think it's important also, to have a plan, and you probably had this experience as well. And I find a lot of people are kind of lost. They're just kind of bumping along, like pinball, they're just kind of bouncing off things, and they go where the wind will take them without any purpose or plan. And it's kind of a catch-22 in some respects, because, I had this conversation with my son a lot, is you have to have enough experience in something to know you don't want to be there. Just like your bar experience. You could look back on the bar and say, I love what I'm doing right now. However, I could see myself in 10 years being in the exact same place I am. And that's not the decision I want to make. So we have life experiences, and then we have choices, and then we have to decide which ones we're going to choose, because we only have so much energy. And I think the bigger question right now, Orest, is what does it mean to actually be a man in this day and age? There's so many conflicting pushing agendas out there that it's really difficult to know what people are supposed to do right now. And I think that you really have to be able to stand up and speak out and know what your rights are, know what your direction is, and know what you're going to be doing. And so how do people go through that process based on your experience?
I think a lot of it has to do with knowing who you are and
Yeah.
being confident, being comfortable in your own skin. I am absolutely 100% positive that there are people that when they look at what I put out there and things like that, will call me all sorts of names, misogynist, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm not that. And when people say this, yeah, I don't like to hear that, but sometimes I just laugh at it.
Yeah.
I laugh at it, and I think a lot of it has to do with being comfortable in your own skin in terms of who you are and having a sense of who you are. And also the fact is we are not perfect. No matter, your mother may have told you that when you were 6. Mine did. Then she obviously took it back several years later. But we're not perfect, and people they'll focus on your imperfections, and it's really about being comfortable in your own skin. And I think there's lots of mixed messages, and you hear. I did a thing on Clubhouse on toxicity, masculine toxicity. Is it real? I think it's a woke construct that is not based in reality. It's not a thing about manness or masculinity. There are men that are toxic. Guess what? There are women that are toxic.
Absolutely.
And so it's not
a gender specific role.
Exactly. And not only that, but people base this on stereotypes that they have in their head. And when you ask them for an example, they come back with an example of a stereotype. Yeah. And have you, and I've had this conversation because we had someone who was on this particular Clubhouse session. We had someone who was, in the anthropology women's studies thing. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to break it down, and she said oh, he didn't like me. Well, does he like anyone? And she goes, well, no, he's kind of rough with everyone too. I go so it's not a gender thing. It's, you take it because that's your frame. That's how you perceive, every offense is based as maybe gender oriented. And that's not to say it doesn't occur. I'm not going to pretend this is nothing's 100%. And it does happen. It does happen. But a lot of times people that are toxic irrespective of their gender. I mean, I'm sure we've all had. I mean, I didn't get married until I was 40, so I was like an overcooked meal, ready to be served. But I dated some toxic women. I mean, I dated a woman that was she was out of Fatal Attraction. At the end when we broke up, she'd come over to my apartment afterwards, claiming to have my baby, all this stuff, which all not true. But I was like, and that was right when that movie was on. I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm living it.
Oh man. Yeah, it's interesting to me that so many times perception is reality for the individual, and I just think right now at this point in time, with the pandemic and everything going on in the world and a lot of people stressing out and, changes are taking place. It's just, I would think empathy and kindness would be more prevalent. And it just seems like it gets more challenging and controversial. And I think it's only because of the media and the news and people that are pumping out, the bad news comes first, right? It's you can't turn your face. You can't turn away from looking at the train wreck. And and I don't know what the psychology behind that is. However, I just know that it seems that that's what comes to the top. And ultimately, when you look at people and you look at what's going on around the world, there's a lot of kind people. There's a lot of amazing individuals out there doing some great work.
Yeah.
And I just want to remind people about that. And so I know that you're doing some great work as well. You got you're stewing and brewing on a webinar that's going to be coming up. So you want to talk about a little bit about what that's going to include and
Sure. It's called it's called the Standard Academy. Don't bother Googling that right now because it's not there yet. We're just in the midst of putting it together. One of the things it's helping men kind of recalibrate their life and reorient where they are, because you get into life and things just kind of go haywire. Kids show up, you get married, you get a job, you lose a job, you get a recession. I've been through 3 recessions and one .com crash, so I'm very familiar in business. I when I was in practice, I knew because we were periodontics is what you call discretionary care. There's not a lot of insurance. I knew when the recession started before I need to hear it on the news because it showed up in my practice very fast.
Yeah.
But I got off topic here. So life gets in the way, and you lose track of what you want. And in some ways, you've given up on what you want because you don't see it as a possibility in your life. Now, if you come up with some sort of answer like, "Oh, I want to be a billionaire," that ain't happening. Okay, that's like that. And I can hit golf balls, which I don't like to do. I'm not a golfer, but I can hit golf balls for 10 hours a day. I will never be on the tour. Okay, this is just some reality. And anybody that tells you can be anything you want, they're lying. They're liars. They're liars. Yeah. No, you cannot be anything you want. But there's lots of good stuff you can be in between. What I call the forced standard deviation, which is like the 0.001 of the population or something like that. So finding out what you want is really important and being very clear. And that takes some clarity. It takes some time to sit down and think about it. And, sitting and thinking is a hard thing to do because what we mostly do is do. So we have action plans. We got to do this and we got to do that. And we got got lists, got check off lists. What things do I have to do today? And I got that too. I mean, I have that. It's important to have. But at some point, and I like to do this once a week, I like to sit down and think. And usually that involves me with a blank piece of paper, nothing in front of it. And I'm usually having a scotch or a Gibson and a cigar. And I try not to do it in my house. I have a cigar bar that I go to here in Las Vegas. And I go in there and I know people. I mean, I've been going there for several years. But I just tell someone, I'm working today. I'm not being antisocial. I just sit here and people respect that. And I sit down and sometimes I have a bunch of stuff on that piece of paper. And sometimes I just have one thing. That one thing may be very, very important in my sitting and thinking. And so sitting and thinking is really important. And then once you get the what done, see, I think Simon Sinek's got it wrong because he says, start with why. No. Start with what? Start with what? And then you can go to the why because you want things for the feelings that they give you. You either acquire them, you either experience them, or you achieve them. And you want those things for the feelings they give you. So that's the why. And then you work on the how. And people often get stuck working on the how when they don't even know what they really want. They're like, So that's kind of the formula there that we're working on and that we're developing in the Standard Academy.
So it's more about the kind of a workflow and a strategy to decide and really identify with some deep thought, because it really does take some deep thought to understand, okay, what is it? Because I think about it the other way. I think about it as, how do I want to spend my time? Because time is the most precious commodity. So if I want to spend my time doing something or achieving something or pursuing something, those actions and activities are a little different. And so you have to think about why am I putting energy into this, and what is it returning in my life? And, I'm far from perfect, because I have a tendency to start working on a project and I get fully immersed in it. And then 6 months later, I'm going, what the hell am I doing this for?
Well, and sometimes your wants change. And I'm going to tell you, I will tell you that you're really asking a what question.
Yeah.
What you're asking is, what do I want to do with my time?
Yeah.
And I mean, the how is kind of for, the how is kind of the action plan, but you're really deciding what you want to do with your time. Where do you want to focus your energy in details?
Yeah, it's really, and I love that idea. And I really appreciate the fact that you're putting this out there, because there's so many things that we really don't understand. I want to ask you though, have you had an influence in your life, a mentor, or, I'm a fan of masterminds and bouncing things off people, and mentors are, somebody that either they're, examples or books, or, people that are here. You mentioned Covey and Cynic and a couple of other people that I know that would probably be available to you, or you thought process that you go into that. Who has influenced you in these decisions and these kind of directions you're taking?
It's kind of it's a number of people at different times in my life. There was a time that I was very, very much into Tony Robbins. He was a big influence, and my biggest takeaway from Tony is the power of the question that you ask yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you ask if you ask yourself, if you ask yourself, why am I fat? Your brain will give you answers about why you're fat, and it has nothing to do with the solution. If you want a solution. Yeah. But if you ask yourself, how do I get myself healthy and skinnier? That's your brain has a whole different set of answers that it gives you. Mm-hmm. So I think the power of questions was from Tony Robbins. I've had some friends that I've had some dental mentors in the dental field. That mm-hmm. One in particular who I was actually his patient when I was a kid. Then I went to dental school. I was being mentored by him, and then over time we became very, very, very good friends. That was a big one. He was a big influence in my life. And then I've had people that I've run into at various stages. I had somebody that taught me the real estate game. I didn't really understand. I did not come from a family that talked about money mm-hmm. or understood money or how to make money. We were always scrambling, and I was always scrambling, even as a healthcare professional. It was just because I did not understand how to manage money and how to hold on to it. And lately, I've been working up, doing some stuff with a group called Wake Up Warriors, run by a man named Garrett J. White, and he has a very, very interesting take in terms of about being very honest with yourself about where you are, about being in control of your life. And one of the biggest things, and this is I hate this, is the victim mentality. I think that's it's so prevalent today that people don't want to take control of their lives, and they continually blame outside forces. And I used to be one of those. I used to be one of those. And I didn't really understand what that was. I learned a lot about, again, when I went back with Tony Robbins. But so many people are not taking responsibility, and they use words like, I can't, they made me, no one, most of the time, 99% of the time.
Look what happened to me.
Yeah. Look what happened to me. Yeah. 99.9% of the time, no one has a gun to your head forcing you to do something. And so you make decisions. Now, stuff happens. Stuff happens. Life is all about challenges and things that happen. But it's how you handle those. And if you take responsibility, that's where you're going to get results. And so many people today are so worried about their feelings. Well, you know what? I worry about feelings maybe about 10% of the time. I kind of worry more about results, because if I get results, I'm gonna have really, really good feelings. and
Plant
folks,
that seed here.
yeah. If I get results, I'm going to have really, really good feelings. And yes, you can buy good feelings. It's called living in a nice house, driving a nice car, taking nice vacations, and being able to give share things with your family and friends.
Yeah.
And so you can by doing those things. If you have the right attitude about life, you can buy happiness.
Yeah. Well, they say you can't buy happiness, but it makes you pretty comfortable along the way.
It's just like if you. And I'm not saying you buy happiness, but happiness is also to a certain extent like, well, I want to be happy. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's like, what I've been listening to, he's obviously controversial. Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you ever listened to him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I've just started listening to his 12 Rules of Life. The man is smart. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've seen him on some interviews on YouTube, and boy, he really doesn't. He knows exactly how to talk and how to handle questions. I mean, it was just very interesting. But he talks about the need to be. Life is all about struggle and getting stronger through struggle.
Yeah.
And not being the victim. And so I think that is just so important is to get rid of those victim words, victim phrases that take your power away from you.
Yeah. I think the bigger point is don't give your power up. Don't give your authority up. Don't give yourself up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And people do that. And people do that with the words. And it's not that someone takes their power. They actually give it away.
Yeah.
Now, in certain course of situations, and if you live in certain countries, people take your power away. But for most of us in countries like the United States and Canada, and it's not like that. You're not. There's no real big government entity. I'm kind of my tinfoil hat's kind of small and it's not particularly tight. I mean, it's there. But I have I have friends that oh my gosh, they're stuff. I'm going like, are you kidding me? Like, have you been drinking this morning? So no. By some standards, some people might say I have a tinfoil hat, but it's pretty small. But so it's. Take control of your life. You'll be a lot happier. Stop being the victim. I totally
agree with you. Yeah. Hey, I want to give a shout out to some of the individuals that joined us today, Orest. Angie, always a supporter. Love you. Thank you so much for being here. Big hugs to you, Russ. Thank you so much. That means a lot. I know that today is a unique day. And Tracy's here. She's the producer of the show.
Hi, Tracy. Thanks for the email.
Me too. Love you, Russ. Thank you so much, Tracy. I really appreciate you. Wow. Wendy is here. You needed young thinking old guy, no trash talking, truth bomb pirate in the pirate universe. Welcome to the ship.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, she goes on to say, this is such a happy conversation. I'm smiling just watching you share your perspectives.
Thank you.
Very empowering. Happy. So I really believe that we all have the opportunity. We all have a gift, and we all have something that we can contribute to the world. So, taking that authority and that possibility and packaging it up and taking action on it, I think is so important. And it's so fulfilling too. There's so many things we can do with it. And there's so many things I wanted to talk to you about. And so you're going to have to come back to the Pirate Broadcast and
I'd love to
continue the conversation.
Yeah, I'd love to, because I just like to share some of the things I've learned, the mistakes I've made, and those are fun.
Yeah, I know that great conversations lead to thinking different thoughts and imagining different outcomes, and so I encourage always people to look for conversations that challenge your thoughts, to push the boundaries and be open to those conversations. And I think it's really important in fact, Wendy shared a conversation that people from different backgrounds that have different ideas and philosophies can still have a very open and honest conversation and, try to understand why they got to the conclusion they arrived at. And I think it's just important for us to share these thoughts and these ideas, Orest. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing and talking about all of the different subjects that we haven't yet even tapped into today. So it's like, okay, what's my expiration date? I don't know, but I'm going to have fun while it lasts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you and look forward to the next time, the next opportunity. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And like and comment and share. If there's somebody that needs to hear this information or needs to meet Orest, reach out to him. What's the best way to reach out to you, Orest?
You go to my blog, oldguytalks.com, and there's a way to access it. And you can also opt in when you so Russ, so when you opt in, you get you get a little email from me about 3 ways to get laid more frequently without begging. and 2 of them are free, and 1 costs less than $10. So you'd be really, it's pretty simple, but it's something that is really, it's about being a guy.
Yeah.
And being a guy also means being a gentleman.
Yes. Amen. So thank you so much, everyone. Orest, always a pleasure. Look forward to more. And because kindness is cool and smiles are free, go out and enjoy the day. Take care. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate.